Hi guys, welcome to a new video in which I'm going to try and explain how to import bikes into Trackdayr. So I'm going to take this bike as an example, and I'm just going to show you the different steps and things you need to know to import a bike in Trackdayr. So first thing you're going to need is obviously Blender. So you can either download it from here or from Steam here. And then you're going to need the bike tool from Trackdayr, and you can get it on the Trackdayr mods and in tools. And you just need to download it. Once you've downloaded the bike mod tool, you then need to download Unity. So I'm going to put all the link you need in the description. So for this, you need Unity Hub, and then you need to choose this version. So the 2022.3.54 F1, and you're just going to click on install, and it's going to install it in your Unity Hub. Okay, so once I'm in Blender, your model need to look like this. So you can see there are different parts placed a bit differently. So basically you have your bike body here, and you have the rim tire discs that are here. You can have, example, for the front wheel, you can have the disc, the rim, and the tire on the same mesh, but I just like to have them separated, so I keep it like that. Then you need your swing arm, your stirrup, which is this, the steer bottom, which is the bottom part of the fork, and that's it basically. You can see that I have 3 meshes and options. It's basically because I add some option on my bike. For example, the homologation, I'm going to place it in option because I want to hide it once I'm in game. So I'm going also to show you this. You can see that I also have 2 lights parts. It's because I'm going to add some emissive lights on them, and I'm going to also show you how to do it. Okay, so for the placing of your parts, you need to have them on the origin point of in Blender. So for the rim, for example, you can see that the center part of my rim is in the center of my Blender. Same goes from there, and if I show you the front rim, it's the same thing, you see. So for my swing arm, also the same. So you have the little point here. You basically make it into the middle because it's going to be your pivot point in the game. So if I show you from here, you can see that it's also in the middle, and from the top, you can see how it is. For the steer up, it's also the same thing. So pivot point is here. So you need to have it to the center, and you need to have it really at a 90-degree angle, basically. And for the steer bottom part, it's basically the same thing. So 90-degree, and the wheel is going to be placed here. So your pivot points need to be here, like that. And from the top, you can see. For the bike body, you can, I'd say, basically make it where you want. Like it doesn't really matter if it's at this point or if it's higher, but you just need to have all your parts aligned. And you can also see that the origin point is below, is here, and it's the same thing for my homologation part. The origin is here. Also, something really important is how your parts are textured. So if you want to be able to make liveries for your bike and be able to modify anything in color, you need to have only one texture. So for example, my fairings on the bike are on the same textures as my tires, rims, or exhaust, or cockpit for the handlebar and such. So if I show you in UV editing and I show you my livery, you can see multiple things. So my bike body here, the cockpit parts here, the mechanics parts basically. You can also have the engine part here, and my rims are here. But if you don't want to be able to customize the livery, you don't need to do all of that. You just need you can just have all your textures apart. So once your model is ready, you can select it all, and you're going to do export and FBX, BX, and you're going to select apply transform. It's really important for the next part in Unity. And now you can just export the model. Okay, so now for this part, I'm going to show you how to use the bike tool. So once you've downloaded it, you have the archive like this. And you just need to extract this folder wherever you want. So mine is here, sorry. And I'm going to open Unity Hub. And once I'm in Unity Hub, I want to import this project. So I just do add project from disk and just simply do that and select my tool here. So I can import it, launch it, sorry. Okay, so now that you're in Unity, you can search for a scene. So when you're launching the tool, you will not have this scene by default. You need to search it. So for my example, I'm going to take the road BP. So it's basically the road blueprint. And you can see that you have also the MX blueprint. And you're going to load into the scene like this. And you should have the bike, some prefab already placed in the scene. If you do not have prefab like this already spawned in, you need to search for them. So in prefab here, and as you can see, I'm going to delete that like this. And you just need to slide those prefab into your scene like this. And they're going to be placed like that. Once you have that, you can save your scene for the bike you want to make. So as you can see, I'm going to here and save same as. And I recommend you to create another folder here so bike, for example. In this folder, you're going to create another folder dedicated to your bike. So in my case, it's this one, and I'm going to save it here. Now that you have your scene dedicated to your bike, you can just take your 3D that you've exported from Blender and slide it into this folder. What you're going to do is create a textures folder in which you have all of your future textures. And you're going to create a prefab folder in which you're going to save these prefabs. Once you've done all of that, you can go onto your 3D. You're going to want to check this read-write setting. And in material, this part is important. By default, it's going to be embedded materials, and you need to choose use external materials like this. And here you can choose whether it's from the name is from the texture name or model's name, materials. So if you're using texture name, the materials created will be from the texture name. And if you choose models material, it's going to use the material you named on your model. So personally, I prefer to use this one. You're going to click on apply to apply the modification you made. And you're going to see a materials folder appear. And in that folder, you're going to find all of your materials from the model. So you can see I have livery, I have my brakes, I have my tires. We are not going to modify them just for now. We're going to set the textures. So it's really important. You need to select all of your textures and you want them on high quality with an ISO level of 12 or 11, depends on your preferences. Basically, an ISO level can allow you to have more detailed textures on long distance. And you're going to want to check that read-write setting, and you're going to do apply. Now that you have done this, you can select all of your normal textures. So once you've done that, you're going to select normal map here and do apply again. Okay, now you have your textures that are set. And so you can import your 3D inside the scene like this. So as you can see, I didn't check the apply transform before on Blender, and my bike is spawning like this. But it's not a problem. You can modify that by selecting all of your parts and changing the Y values in rotation. So I'm going to do that and do that. So you can see my bike is pretty much set in my scene and it should be good. So now I'm going to modify my materials. So you can see for livery, for example, I have my base map here and I have my normal map here. And you can also see I have a mask map. So this is important because it's going to modify how metallic or how smoothness is defined on your bike, on your livery materials. So you can see if I remove it, it has a bit less color and it's a bit less smooth. Now this mask is not by default in the tool. By default, you have this one, like that. But I think it's not really good for road bikes. So I just use another one. and you can see it's much better, a bit more metallic, more smooth. So for the disk, for example, you can see that I have some holes in it, and it's made with alpha clipping. So you need to check that alpha clipping thing, and by default it's not checked, so it will look like this, and you need to check it like that. And it works the same for the gear. So you can see alpha clipping without and with. Then we can set up our glass material, so it should be transparent. As you can see, I set it as transparent here, and by default it's set as opaque. So you can see opaque versus transparent. And you can set the alpha values to 0 or 100, and depending on that value you can see that it's more or less transparent. Depending on the textures of the glass, I adjust this value. As I told you earlier, I have a mesh that's named light, and I want that to be an emissive light, so I want it to be on every time. So as you can see, I have two materials on it, and I want to have materials like this that have an emissive on it. So if I look at it, you can see that I have my base map, my normal map, and I also have an emissive map. So for this, you can just have white textures and it will work. You just need to check that, use emission intensity, and you can set the color of what you like. So you can see I can set it to blue, kind of, and you can set it to red, or anything that you would like, basically. You can also set the emission intensity. So the higher is the value, and the brighter it will be on. So you can see. I like to have a little values because in game, if you have this much value, it will be too much bright. And you can set also exposure weight. The last thing I want to show you on the materials part is my layered material, which is for my front and rear tires. So if you want to have deformation and tire smoke in game, you need to have your materials named as layered, like this, and you need to apply it to your tire. As for metallic and smoothness value, I set it to 0.3 and 0.2. So you can see, I think it looks pretty good like this. Now I'm going to place all of my parts into those prefabs. So for example, all of my body parts, so my body, exhaust, homologation, lights, and my rear plate, I'm going to unpack first my prefab, like that. And I'm going to slide them into my body mesh. Then I'm going to do the same thing for my steer button, right here, my steer up, my swing arm, and my wheels, like that and like that. Now you can delete that. And now you can see all of the plus part that I added have a little plus here. So you know it's your part. And now what you can do is delete the old parts like that, because you don't need them anymore. You can delete that. Now you can do unpack completely like that. Now remember that I told you I wanted to hide and show specific spots. So for example, homologation and my rear plate. So to do that, I need to create an empty object like this and name it action. You want to place it in your body mesh like this and just slide the plate and homologation inside. The only thing with the action prefab is that you can't place it in front wheel, rear wheel, or any other part except body mesh, because if it's not in body mesh, it will not work. If you want to do a custom dashboard like this one, so you need to do one more step. Well, multiple steps, in fact. So you will need to search into common and go into dash prefabs, and you can see there is a dashboard prefab. You want to take this one and slide it into your scene and put it into your body mesh right here. So in my case, I already done it, and you can see that inside your dashboard prefab, you have multiple things. So JFX dash and dash GP 500, we don't need that. So you can disable it or delete it. You can see I have RPM needle. I don't need it either because it's mine is a digital dashboard, but you need to keep it if you want to have the progress bar here working. So, but you need to keep them because if you don't, the RPM bar here will not work. So you can just reduce them to a little part like this and hide it somewhere. If you want to have an LCD dashboard, like so, you have different functions. And as you can see, I have speed, I have kilometers, and that's all. And I also have my RPM bar. So for speed, I just need to set this text, which is already present in my LCD canvas prefab here. Kilometers is also in my prefab. It's by default in it. And you can adjust the size in function of what you need. Thing a bit harder to do is the progress bar here. As you can see, my image is this progress bar, and it's this one. The thing you want to do is set it to sprite, 2D, and UI. If you don't, you will not be able to customize the progress bar. When you're on your progress bar, you can set it different ways. So I want it to be filled. So for example, you see like this. The higher the RPM, the more my bar will increase too. And you can set it different ways. You can set it vertical, horizontal, or radial, for example. If I set it vertical, you can see it will go this way. And if I do radial, we won't be able to see much, but basically you see it's making a circle. And you can see the fill origin, and if I put it to right, it will fill the bar from the right. So you need to set it to left. If you want a dashboard with a needle, to indicate the RPM, you need to do two things. So you need to have your indicator here, your needle, and with its origin right here, like that, you can see. And you can set its scale, etc. And you can set its rotation. And then you can set it with your RPM needle prefab. So you need to check your Z value, and it's going to be your maximum rotation for your needle. So if I have 11,000 RPM, I'm going to put it right there. If I have 9,000 RPM max, I'm going to put it there. So I'm just going to leave it here. And you can see I can also set my rotation like that. So I just do that. I'm just going to put it back again. And if you want rev light, you can set it like that and just put your base map lights here. Now that you're all set, make sure that your prefabs here are saved in your prefab folder. So remember to save them, you just need to select them and just slide them here. So once they're saved, you can click on select this to export. And basically what you want to do is just slide your parts, your prefabs inside here. So body mesh is going here, steer up is going here, and you do the rest. Now, one important thing is your bike ID. So remember to do generate new ID every time you make a bike. You can also type your bike name here, and here you want to select your bike folder. So this folder is where your bike is going to be exported. So you want it to be inside document, Trackdayr, bikes, and you create a new folder here. So basically mine is this one. I click here and select this folder like that. And once I do that, I can just do save. And before that, also remember to save your scene because it will not work. So once I've save my scene, I can save my bike here. So you will have to wait just a bit. So once you've saved your bike, it will appear inside the folder you just did, and you will have a file which look like a bit like this, but it will not have an extension. So basically something like this. Now that's where it really gets interesting, because you're going to be able to see the bike into your game. So you need to go into customize, garage mode, and then here it's really important. So you can base your bike from other mods. So for example, if I go into here, select this, I can select any bike here. For example, this one or this one, doesn't matter. But you can also choose from in-game bikes. So you need to go here in this thing. So usually you need this. And you then go into bikes, and here you can choose a bike. So for example, this one, because it's a road bike. So you're going to load it. I'm not going to do it. Well, I can do it. It looks like this. you see. And then I'm going to import the file that you just saved from Unity. And so you're going to do load assets, and you're going to choose the file that you saved. Yeah, it should import your bike, and you will have to do some setting to have it all properly. So I'm going to load my bike, and I'm going to show you some settings that you need to do. So here, then here, and here. Depending on the bike you choose, it will be already pretty much set up perfectly, or you will need to modify a lot of things. So the most important things are here. So basically, and I see that it's not really set up properly anyway. The Z option is going to be your forward or backward thing. So for example, if I set it like that, you can see it moves. And your Y thing is going to be upward, to be up or down. So if I set it like that, you see it goes up. Your trail option here is to align your bottom part with the up part. So you can see if I set like that, sorry, like that. Well, sometimes it just shows live, sometimes you need to reload the bike. So I'm going to do exit, garage mode, that. And so it moves. You can choose the offset Y. So the offset Y is to move up or down the wheel, and the whole the bottom part. So if I set like that, it moves down. It doesn't show here, but it's a bit weird. But it should be going down or up depending on the value you type. So now for the rear part, it's the same thing, and you can see that I'm perfectly aligned with my axle here, and you can see the swing arm part here, and my axle is really good aligned. And you can move it with that, or oops, a bit too much here. There. Same thing goes for the rear. So you can modify the up and down thing, or forward, backward. And as you can see, my axle my axis is perfectly aligned with my swing arm. It's because the origin in Blender is perfect, so it's really important to get it right. You can see if I change a bit the value here, it goes front. If I reduce it, it goes back. If you need to adjust the swing arm length, so basically where your rear wheel is going to be, you need to modify this value. So the higher the value is here, and the longer the bike will be. So if I increase it, my rear wheel is going to be pushed backward. Now you can see this cog option. You can set it inside garage mode. You can see it's here. I'm going to show you that a bit later in game, but it's also really important because it's going to define how your bike handles. Now inside the drivetrain tab, you have some settings. So you can set the dimension of your front sprocket, which is here, and your rear sprocket. You can usually I put the real values because I like to have some things that match reality. And then it's the same thing for my gear ratios. I just get the values on internet and just put them here. Now for the engine part, same thing. I go on internet and search for values and just get them right in there. And I usually match, put lower values into EB points, which are engine braking. So the lower the value will be, the higher engine braking will be. Now, suspension, you can leave it by default. What I like to do is get the real values for travel here and here. And you can see when you will modify it that your rear wheel or front wheel will move a lot. So, for example, if I move that, yeah, still not moving. So now inside the suspension, you're going to have those values. I usually leave it by default for MX bike, but for road bikes, I like to have some real thing, but it's not really important. So you can set all of the real values here. And usually, if you increase the travel here and here, you will need to adjust your Y offset because the wheels will be really too low. And now for the tires, you can set the dimension, the pressure, the weight. In handles, it's where you're going to place your rider. So if I move here the pelvis, you can see it moves. Same thing for the hand. And if you want to rotate the hand to really match the handlebar, you can do it like that. You just click on the little arrow here, and then you can set it. And you can do the same for the foot, for the feet. You can see it move here, like that. You don't need extreme values because, as you can see, can make the foot a bit weird. But you can really do it as you like. And last, you're going to have to set how your bike sounds. So you can select the sound here. And you can also select the bike type. So in my case, it's a road bike, but you can choose MX bike, mini bike, and you can do more inside the file. You can choose the chain. So the chain here will appear. You can move the front sprocket. So if I click on it, you can move it front and back. And the chain will update its position once you save and close the bike and you reopen it again. You can show the oil tank. So the oil tank is the brake reservoir here. You can show the dashboard. I have a custom dashboard, but if I click on that, you can see the default dashboard appearing. And if you click on position, you can also adjust its position here. And link to steer, obviously, it's when you're going to turn the bike, it's going to turn with the bike. So for example, on super motorbike or on a naked bike, you want it if the dashboard is on the handlebar. Now also, if you want to have some flames out of the exhaust, you need to enable them here, and then you can move them around like you want. As you can see, when I press Alt, you can see my homologation part showing right there. And this is the emissive I was talking about. As you can see, it's really, really good. So, as I was saying earlier, we are going to want to check the center of gravity of the bike. So to do that, I'm just going to press my key on the keyboard and press TDRADV. And some things like that should appear. You wait a bit, and then you press on the key C, and you see some things appearing. So you can see here I have some red values, which correspond to this red and black circle. So this circle match with the center of gravity of the bike. So I can modify it here. Just increase it, you will see it will move up. And if I move it here, it will move forward or backward. And those values will not be saved into your folder. So you need to memorize those values. And then, once you're sure about the cog of your bike, so you made sure to have those values, you can go either on the garage mode, or you can go into your bike file, and you're going to search for the cog line. So here it's com, sorry. So you can see it's here. So usually the highest values will be this one, the Y value. So as you can see, it's not the same, but I will keep those values. And then these values, Z value, I will set it here. And don't forget to save your file. And the center of mass or gravity is really important, because if you want a bike that's playful or really handy, you're going to have a higher center of mass, or more in front of the bike, or less or more backward. And as you can see, this one I can really good when it's high, but if I reduce it a lot and put it to the front, it should be a lot harder to wheelie the bike. So you can see I'm pressing, I have my joystick fully to the back, and I can't wheelie. So last thing to do to disable it, to disable the TDRADV interface, is press C again, then you go back to your main menu, and what you're gonna need to do is just press TDRADV again on your keyboard, like that, TDRADV, and you can see my game version turned to white here, and that how you know you're not in TDRADV mode again. So now, I'm going to show you some things inside the .tdr files that are going to be made when you load the bike into the game. So as you can see, I have a bike name, a bike group, bike tag. So the bike type tag, we defined it in the garage mode earlier. The bike group, you can set it. For example, you can set it for 600 as you like. Now, all of this, it's what you can already do inside the garage mode. And you can also add turbo. So that's where you can enable it. You just simply set it to true, like this, and you will have a turbo. And you can adjust the settings here. So the turbo boost, the start RPM, it's pretty nice. In the UCU map, you can add, so for example, traction control, you can add anti-wheeling or more engine braking. For this part, you can take example, for example, on the in-game bike. So you just need to go inside the game folder and you select, you go into a road bike and you can just open the TDR file. Now, this is a pretty important part. So as you can see here, front link, this is corresponding to the fork when we were inside the garage mode. So all of the things we're going to modify, it's going to modify them here. Same for the swing arm, sprocket and stuff. And same for the pilot. And now if I go down again, you can see bike body, front up, front bottom. So that's our different parts. If you have a part that's a bit offset on one axis, it's not properly aligned, you can move it here. So for example here, you can see that I put my bike body a bit more down, but you can also rotate it, move it like you want, or make it bigger, smaller. I don't really recommend it to do that here, but if it's your last option, you can modify it here. If you want to modify the flame count and stuff, you can modify it here also. And one important thing is this line. So as you remember, we made a material name _layered for our tires. And if you want a specific texture on it, you can just put the texture you want on the material. But then, if you want to use it, you need to set that to true. And you will have your texture showing. If not, you can just set it to false and it will use default textures. So this is going to end my video here. I hope you guys enjoyed and I hope it will be useful to you guys. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or feel free to ask on Discord. Me or any other modders or even devs will be happy to answer your question. And yeah, let's end it here. See ya.